So what do you think would be the most basic requirements needed in order to find God? To know God, to know what he's like, to know of any expectations that he has for us? Well, obviously, as a Christian, I would say that the answers to those questions are found in the Bible, especially in the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, who said to his own disciples that because they had seen him, they had seen God. A very bold claim to make indeed. But in this video, I want to set aside for a moment the whole issue of which religion is true or which holy book is the right one, and instead look at what I think are the two most basic requirements that would be needed in order to find God. God's willingness to reveal himself to us, and our own willingness to accept him, however he turned out to be. So the first thing that would be required in order for us to find God, to know God, would be his own willingness to reveal himself to us. Now, we've all played the game before when someone has picked a number between 1 and 10 or 1 and 100, and it was up to us to guess the correct number. Well, suppose I've picked a number between 1 and 1,000,000,000, and it's up to you to guess that number, and you had as many chances as you would like. Well, since they say it takes about 31 years just to count from 1 to 1,000,000,000, we could be here a really, really long time. But suppose eventually you did guess it right. Say the number was 832,545,122. But here's the thing. How would you actually know that you were right? Well, the only way you could ever know you were right would be if I revealed the number to you, if I confirmed that your guess was correct. If I didn't, then you would simply keep on guessing and never know that you would actually guess the right answer. You see, it all depends upon my willingness to reveal that information to you. And I'd argue that the same goes with God. If God, for whatever reason, is unwilling to be found, then we could never possibly find him. Even if we were to gather all of the world's smartest people, the Nobel laureates and the like, they could speculate all they wanted, but it would simply remain as speculation unless God confirmed it, unless God revealed who he was to them. Simply put, we could never find God if God was unwilling to be found. And just quickly, I'd further argue that that information about God would eventually have to be written down into some form of holy reference book. Because without such a book, we'd be back to square one. How would we ever know if that person was right about God or that person without a divine, holy reference book? Now, the second thing that would be needed in order for us to find God, to know God, would be our own willingness to accept him for whoever he revealed himself to be. And this is something that I think often gets overlooked. You see, many people think of this whole issue of God in abstract terms, that finding God would somehow be like finally figuring out how the ancient Egyptians made the pyramids or who killed JFK. Intellectual, intriguing things for sure, something that I'd like to know the answers to, but not life-changing. And there are many who claim that they would like to find God, that they would like to know God, seem to assume that they would actually like who they would find. But suppose God ended up being radically different from who they were expecting. That the knowledge of God meant a radical remake of one's life. That finding God, that knowing God would make you extremely unpopular with others. Suppose that finding God, that knowing God came at great personal cost. Would you be willing to find a God like that? Makes you think, doesn't it? Now, obviously, this was a very brief and basic video on finding God, so go easy on the keyboard in the comment section, okay? But I do hope that you found this video helpful in what it might entail to find God. And if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, and why not watch one of those videos over there? Thanks so much, and I hope to see all of you next Thursday. Bye for now.